Right now, the market is all over the place. Prices are going up and down. People are talking about a crash is coming. There's a lot of fear around the idea of tariffs. There's inflation. There's all this stuff going on. Is now really the right time to invest? We're going to break that down right now. So when you ask the question, is now a good time to invest? You're asking the wrong question. It is always a good time to invest. If you would have been investing by this time last year, you would have been grateful that you had started investing then. Same thing for 2023, 2022, and back in 2020, the question was asked, is now the right time to invest? If you make a habit of investing every single month, regardless of what the market is doing, you are going to win. Of course, you need to be in the correct types of investments. You can't just invest in anything that's super volatile, and you shouldn't just invest into anything just for no reason without any strategy. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying if you're a beginner investor and you're watching this video right now and you're kind of scared because you don't know what the market's going to do, you don't know what's going to happen with jobs, if there's going to be any layoffs, any job cuts. We don't know what's going to happen as a result of tariffs and things like that, whether you agree with the tariffs or not. It has caused quite a bit of uncertainty as it relates to the stock market, and that's why both the stock and crypto market have been fluctuating a lot. So I'm here to tell you from my own experience what I think. This is not financial advice, but one of my biggest regrets in life was not investing earlier when I could have, when I was too skeptical, too afraid to invest in certain things. I was afraid to invest in Apple, Microsoft, Google. I was afraid to invest in Bitcoin when it was like $6,000 a pop. And now I'm looking back, like, all that skepticism didn't do anything. It doesn't matter how logical it is. It doesn't matter what point you're coming from. If you're trying to protect your assets, you're trying to protect your cash, you're trying to make logical decisions. Well, sometimes you can hurt yourself by doing that, and you can be robbing your future self of well-deserved money just because you're super skeptical. I'm not saying to just put your life savings into investing. I'm not saying to put a big lump sum of money into investing. I'm just simply saying that we need to explore the idea that investing the same amount every month, aka dollar cost averaging, we need to explore that idea and see what type of impact that could have in our lives. And if you can only do a certain amount and you feel like that's not enough, I'm here to tell you that number is going to add up, it's going to compound, it's going to grow, and you'll be able to build yourself up into greater and bigger numbers as you go on. So even if you feel like 100 isn't that much, 500 isn't that much, some of you might feel like 1,000 isn't that much, especially when you figure a whole share can be $200 plus, especially for a really, really good company. But you don't even have to buy full shares. That's what I talked about in my last video where I was talking about investing myths. You do not have to do certain things that you are wired to believe that you have to do. You don't have to just blindly put money into a mutual fund that you know nothing about, that you don't really fully understand the amount of fees that you have to pay for. You don't have to just blindly put your money into anything. You have the power to decide what you're going to invest in. And in my opinion, it's best to start with ETFs because the fees are super, super, super low. And especially if you get into something that tracks the S&P 500, such as SPY or VOO, you could get a safe 12% annually over the long term and be just perfectly fine. But if you want to take it up a notch after that, you can get into very good, lucrative companies in addition to having those ETFs, so they counterbalance each other, and you can see a positive amount of growth, and you can even outpace the S&P 500 with your other investments if you do so wisely. But when you don't invest and you say, oh, I'm just not going to do it, I'm not going to touch this, and that's what I did in 2020 for like 6 months. I still regret to this day not really getting into the COVID crash as soon as it started happening. I waited a little bit before I started getting into investing then, but I was held back by certain things, and I was even commenting on forums and on YouTube channels saying, yeah, now's a great time to invest. I'm just saving up my money till I'm able to get the right time. I was trying to wait for and aim for the right time. And then some dude was like, well, Buffett says he's not buying anything. I'm like, look, man, y'all are getting ridiculous. Like, and this was back in 2020 when I was thinking this, but we take the right time so seriously that we're going to wait and see what investors that are way more successful than us are doing. You don't know why he's not buying anything. You don't know what the narrative or objective is behind saying that he's not buying anything. That's only going to create more fear in the market. Oh, well, if the best of the best isn't investing, I'm not going to touch anything either. What do you think that's going to do to the stock market? It's going to keep stocks at a cheap price for the whales, the big dogs, the big investors to come in and get all the good stocks, good ETFs, good whatever they want to buy, including crypto. And even though I'm not a pro crypto type of person, I do have a little bit of my portfolio in crypto, and I suggest that you at least look into tech stocks, especially as they relate to AI and semiconductor chips. So think TSMC, think Nvidia, think AMD, think Amazon, think Microsoft, think Apple. All of those companies are within the AI space, within the chip space, within where we're going next. Forgot to mention Meta. There's a lot of companies that you could be looking at. And when you sit down and actually listen to certain podcasts and certain people are interviewing CEOs like Mark Zuckerberg, like Jensen Hong, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get perspective and you're going to have a small viewpoint into the future. And that's going to let you know that you're making the right decisions with certain things. You can't just blindly invest in things just because some random person on the internet told you to do so, or because you heard Warren Buffett bought X amount of stocks or sold X amount of stocks. You cannot wait for that kind of news. You have to be proactive in what you're doing. And it's pretty well known knowledge now. The S&P 500 over the long term is pretty much going to give you a positive return no matter what you do. You will get a safe return within the 2 digits. And if you invest in it at a lump sum at the lowest price that it gets to, your returns will be even better. Like imagine people who invested into the S&P 500 ETF, let's say VOO, at the bottom of the market in 2020. They're up right now. So there is some strategy involved with this, but is it the right time? Don't ask it that way. You could ask if it's the right time to invest a lump sum of money. Now we're talking. Now we're asking specific questions, because to me, right now, I'm just dollar cost averaging like I always do. The market is at a discount, but my thing is this. I'm not going to get too greedy because I don't think we're at the end of the market dropping. I think it's going to continue to drop for a little bit until these things start to get ironed out and we start to see some more benefits of these tariffs and we start to see a little bit more clarity from an economic standpoint. And then the market will probably start to flatten out and then start to grow a little bit. And then people will have more confidence and they'll start investing all over again. But right now, where there's fear in the market, yes, you should invest. Now is a great time to invest. Yesterday was a great time to invest. Last year was a great time to invest. You not investing is making you miss out on valuable information. Because when most of us choose not to invest, we're also not learning about investing on the side while we're choosing not to invest, which is ironic because if you did learn how to invest and learn about more of the fundamentals and learn more about the companies that you're considering investing in, you would probably be quicker to pull the trigger on actually investing. But choosing not to invest and then not learning anything, now you're missing out on experience and knowledge, not to mention money. And that's why you're seeing me make more investing mistakes videos, because people are making these mistakes that are costing them money. Their biggest mistake isn't necessarily over indexing their assets on certain stocks that they're bullish on but have done no research on. That is a big mistake that people make, but that's not even the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake is not touching investing at all because you're skeptical or you're scared. It doesn't matter how logical the reason is that you're choosing not to invest or not to do something. Because if you turn around and it's 5x over a year, you're going to be feeling some type of way about it. Just like I was feeling a way about Bitcoin in 2020 when I was sitting at my on my phone and I had Bitcoin pulled up and it was $6,000 and I was like, ooh, should I do this? And I didn't do it. About a year later, it was $60,000. Last year, towards the end of the year, it got up to like $108,000. Now it's dropped down back into the 80s at the time of me recording this video. I'm putting a little more into Bitcoin than I was at the end of last year because it has dropped. But there is never a time where I'm straight up saying I'm avoiding investing. The only way I would ever avoid investing is if I was low on cash and I needed to build my cash back up. But it wouldn't have anything to do with my fear or greed around the market itself. It would have solely to do with financial responsibility outside the realm of investing. So those are the questions you have to ask yourself. How are you looking when it comes to your debt? How are you looking when it comes to your cash? How are you looking when it comes to your overall financial responsibilities? How are your assets versus your liabilities looking? So once you have these answers to the questions, you can understand if you're in a place to invest a certain amount of money or not. And if you're not, you can still invest a little bit while you're working on your goals. And that's why I teach so much about this in the Wealth Journey Collective. That's why I have the course attached to it. I have an AI chat bot that will come and answer any questions you may have about that stuff. And it has a bunch of other amenities and benefits just to being in that group. And I'm working on even more fun, cool stuff. So if you want to join Wealth Journey Collective, hit the link down in the description, and we'll be extremely happy to have you. The onboarding process is on point, and I think you would genuinely love it. And you'd be on live calls with me weekly, in which I share market insights, what I'm investing in, as well as general personal finance topics. Because if you didn't know, I used to run a channel called Reggie Bryant. I still run it, but I'm mainly focused on this channel right now. But it has a realm, like a whole plethora of videos as they relate to personal finance, getting out of debt, getting your credit up, how to save money, and even how to invest. But this channel is specifically focused on investing because that is what I am truly passionate about within the personal finance space. But if you join Wealth Journey Collective, you will get a taste of a little bit of everything. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to put down in the comments, are you the type of person that is on the verge of investing? Or are you already actively investing and you just wanted to watch this video for more clarity of if you should keep doing what you're doing? Because yes, the stock market could continue to drop if things keep happening and there's more fear and there's more threats of war and there's all kinds of things going on. Yes, the stock market will continue to drop based on that. But the stock market is nothing but a visual representation of how people feel about companies right now. It has nothing to do with the true value of the company right now. And that's exactly why you end up having stocks that are overvalued or undervalued. When a stock is overvalued, the price reflects how the people feel about it so much that they're so bullish, which means they're very optimistic about this stock continuing to go up, that they're overpaying for it. So a stock might actually be worth $200, but right now it costs $500, and that's because people are willing to pay $500 for the value that they think the stock is worth. But in reality, it might not be worth what people are paying for, but it's overvalued because people are overly optimistic about this particular stock. Some examples of that would be things like Nvidia last year and Tesla back in 2020. When stocks get overvalued, they naturally drop. That's why Nvidia dropped this year. That's why AMD dropped this year. They were overvalued last year. Are they still great companies? Absolutely, but they were overvalued because people had too much confidence in companies like that. And that is exactly when it's the best time to buy, when they're undervalued. And when something is undervalued, it might cost $100, but it might truly be worth $150. So that's people not really seeing the worth of the actual company at that moment in time. That's why it's important to watch those podcasts, read the books, and learn more about the space that you're investing in. Because as you learn more, you're like, wow, this is incredibly valuable. In 10 years, when this stuff actually comes into fruition, or 5 years when this stuff actually starts happening, this stock is going to go absolutely astronomical and go parabolic. You know what I'm saying? Because of the simple fact that once this company is actually able to accomplish what they're planning to do, they're going to really kill this thing. But you absolutely need to do your research and figure out how much faith you have in the company, and not asking yourself, is it a good time to invest? You need to ask yourself, is it a good time for me to put more money into this specific investment based on the price that it is right now? Because it's always a good time to invest. If you just invest and don't listen to anybody else and you shut the world out and you just dollar cost average, and you could dollar cost average in something like the S&P 500, you know, the VOO or SPY or something like that. If you're in the index funds, it could be VFIAX or one of those IAX funds that other companies have as well, like Fidelity and things like that. But that's what you're dollar cost averaging with. When you start investing more money into certain stocks, you wait for them to hit a certain price, and then you put X amount of money in them, and that's how you can outpace the S&P 500. It's always a good time to invest. Don't you ever forget that. But I also want you to remember that your only goal with investing is to make your money grow. Preferably, you want to be at or above the S&P 500 pace. So if you're able to do that consistently and outperform it every now and then, and by outperform, I don't just mean by a couple percentage points. I mean, like, you might outperform the S&P 500 by up to 10%, if not more. And you can absolutely do that. Just keep staying tuned to these videos, and also join Wealth Journey Collective, where I show you more in-depth information so you could definitely, without question, outpace the S&P 500 once you accurately apply what I teach you. I'm extremely grateful to be able to record these videos for you guys, and I appreciate all the traction that I've been getting on this channel so far. And if you like this video, you're gonna love this one. You can check it out somewhere up here.